The Vaught Advanced Research Facility in Newark existed in that liminal space between military installation and corporate campus, chain link topped with razor wire surrounding buildings designed by architects who'd confused secure with soulless. Inside Lab 7, Dr. Patricia Chen stared at readouts that shouldn't exist while her supervisor, Marcus Webb, updated the PowerPoint he'd present to the executive board. The dimensional resonance field had been theoretical until 3 weeks ago. Now the air above the containment platform shimmered like heat off August asphalt, except the temperature had dropped to 48 degrees and every dog within 2 miles wouldn't stop howling. "Stable aperture in 90 seconds, Chen said, fingers dancing across haptic interfaces. Around them, and a dozen Vought security contractors gripped rifles loaded with rounds specifically designed to stop Compound V users. Standard operating procedure since Translucent's death made national news. "We're actually doing this." Webb didn't look up from his slides. "Make sure you emphasize controlled breach in your notes. Madeline wants exploitable, not apocalyptic." He'd already drafted the press release. Vought International pioneers dimensional technology. New era of innovation begins. The stock options alone would set him up for retirement. The portal erupted 3 seconds early. Reality didn't tear. It screamed. The containment field shattered like glass, meeting a sledgehammer, and something that looked like Hell's personal exit wound opened above the platform. Heat slammed outward in a wave that turned climate control into a sick joke. And the color was wrong. That sulfurous orange-yellow that belonged in medieval paintings of damnation, not a New Jersey research lab built for pharmaceutical profit. Through the breach came a figure wreathed in flames that burned without consuming, fire that knew hatred as its native language. Scorpion hit the platform hard enough to crack reinforced concrete. He rose slowly, chains wrapped around his forearms rattling with each movement, yellow eyes scanning an environment that registered as wrong on every level his undead senses could process. The Netherrealm's energies clung to him like a second skin, hellfire dancing along his kunai rope as he assessed 23 potential threats in the first 2 seconds. "Containment protocol," Webb's voice cracked soprano. "Activate containment protocol." The security contractors opened fire. Their bullets meant to stop enhanced human biology encountered something that had already died once and found the experience merely inconvenient. Rounds punched through the specter, tearing holes that closed with flickers of flame. Scorpion moved like smoke given violent purpose, a teleportation that wasn't quite teleportation, more like reality losing track of where he'd been and suddenly remembering him elsewhere. His kunai sang through air thick with cordite and fear. "Get over here!" The spear took the nearest contractor through the chest plate, barbs finding flesh beneath Kevlar. Scorpion yanked, and the man flew across 20 feet of space like a puppet with cut strings. The ninja's palm strike drove bone fragments into brain matter before the body finished its trajectory. 3 more contractors died in the next 4 seconds, precision kills that spoke to centuries of martial discipline, each death a perfect execution of technique refined through obsessive practice and supernatural enhancement. Dr. Chen scrambled backward, her tablet clattering to blood-slicked floor. This wasn't like the Compound Vi users in Vaught's files, controlled subjects with powers that made scientific sense within their broken biology. This was something older, angrier, and utterly beyond quarterly projections. Webb fumbled for his phone, hands shaking so badly he nearly dropped it twice before getting Vought Tower on the line. "We have a breach. Repeat, we have a hostile breach. Send..." Hellfire engulfed him mid-sentence. The flames didn't burn fast. They burned complete, reducing corporate ambition and PowerPoint presentations to ash that still held the shape of a screaming man for 2 eternal seconds before collapsing. Scorpion stood among 17 corpses, hellfire reflecting in pools of spreading blood. The Netherrealm's energies pulsed through this realm's fabric like an infected wound. He could feel it. The wrongness, the absence where his vengeance should have led. Sub-Zero wasn't here. The Lin Kuei wasn't here. This wasn't the realm he'd been traversing when the portal caught him mid-hunt. Wasn't anywhere his centuries of rage had mapped. Outside, sirens wailed. Through the facility's shattered windows, he glimpsed lights. Not torches or flame, but harsh artificial illumination that painted the night in colors that offended his dead eyes. Voices crackled from dropped radios, on corporate speak mixed with tactical chatter, people discussing response protocols and media management in the same breath. Chen, somehow still alive and conscious behind an overturned workstation, watched the Spectre examine its surroundings with a warrior's assessment. Not random violence, calculated, professional. When those yellow eyes fixed on her, she found herself speaking before terror could lock her throat completely. "Where? What are you?" Scorpion's voice came from somewhere between vocal cords and the Netherrealm itself, layered with centuries of rage and the particular grief that comes from watching your family burn. "Hanzo Hasashi, Scorpion of the Shirai Ryu." Each word carried weight that made the air feel thicker. "Return me, now." We can't." Chen's training in particle physics and dimensional theory hadn't covered negotiating with undead ninja specters. The portal collapsed. It would take weeks to recalibrate, and even then, hellfire flared. Scorpion took 3 steps toward her, chains clinking with predatory rhythm. The wall exploded inward. Not from him, from outside. Homelander floated through the new opening, cape settling around shoulders that belonged on propaganda posters, smile practiced in 10,000 mirrors. Behind him, cameras rolled. Vought News Network had beaten the actual authorities by 4 minutes, because in 2019, corporate response time beat government oversight every single time. Well, Homelander said, voice carrying that folksy menace he'd perfected for focus groups. "So, looks like somebody crashed the party without an invitation. If you want to see more characters enter different universes, smash that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them in down in the comments below." Fucking diabolical. Scorpion's kunai spun once, twice, hellfire trailing like a promise. 20 feet of New Jersey research facility separated America's greatest hero from a warrior who'd killed gods. The cameras kept rolling. They always did. Madeline Stillwell watched the Newark footage for the 7th time, her office's panoramic windows framing Manhattan like a conquered kingdom. The video quality was exceptional. Vought News Network's B team had earned their hazard bonuses. She paused on the frame where Scorpion's hellfire reflected in Homelander's eyes, that microsecond before America's favorite son had decided whether to laser the Spectre or posture for ratings. He'd chosen posture. Smart boy. "Play it again," she told Ashley Barrett, who stood behind her with a tablet clutched like a shield against reality. The part where he pulls the contractor. The footage replayed. That impossible spear, the yanking motion, the kill delivered with mechanical precision. Madeline's marketing brain catalogued every detail. The mask, iconic, immediately merchandisable. The voice, deep, though threatening, perfect for action figures with voice chips. The hellfire, CGI departments would cream themselves. The violence, well, that would require careful editing for family demographics, but the raw footage would leak and drive viral engagement through the roof. 15 million views in 3 hours, Ashley said, voice climbing toward Panic's comfortable altitude. Twitter's calling him everything from demon to experimental soup. Reddit's convinced he's Vaught's new answer to international threats. Forshan's already made him a meme. The stock's up 4% on speculation alone. Homelander? Madeline didn't turn from the window. Pissed. Really pissed. The kind of pissed where he uses his inside voice, which is somehow worse. Ashley's fingers worried the tablet's edges. He's in his penthouse, hasn't come out since the encounter. It just keeps watching footage of himself arriving at the facility. Of course he did. Homelander's narcissism ran deeper than most personality disorders. It was geological, a foundation so fundamental that threatening it risked complete structural collapse. And this scorpion creature had done something unforgivable. He'd looked at Homelander like he was just another obstacle. Not a god. Not even a particularly interesting challenge. Just something currently standing between the Spectre and wherever he wanted to go. Madeline had watched Homelander evaporate that look from lesser Supes' faces with laser precision. The fact that he'd hesitated spoke volumes. "Get me Dr. Chen's preliminary report," Madeline said, "and have someone fetch the Spectre's biological samples from the facility." "There aren't any." Ashley checked her tablet. "I mean, the bullets went through him, but there's no blood. No tissue. The bodies he left behind are normal human, are contractors. But him, nothing. It's like he's not really here. Physically, I mean. The science team is losing their minds." Fascinating. Madeline turned to face her assistant, expression perfectly composed in that way that made junior executives confess sins unprompted. Not Compound Vi, then? Definitely not. Chen says the energy readings are completely different. Supernatural, not biological, which shouldn't be possible. But here we are. Ashley pulled up additional screens. Homeland Security wants him classified as WMD. The Pentagon's asking if we engineered him. 3 senators are demanding closed-door hearings. And the Chinese are claiming we stole the technology from their dimensional research program. Standard Tuesday. Madeline moved to her desk, heels clicking against Italian marble. Where is he now? Sage Grove. We transported him under heavy sedation, or what we thought was heavy sedation. Turns out horse tranquilizers don't work on the undead, but he went with the containment team willingly once Homelander started making threatening speeches about civilian casualties. Ashley's voice carried grudging respect. Security footage shows him just waiting, not trying to escape, like he's assessing. Smart. Madeline appreciated intelligence in potential assets. The dumb ones were easier to control, but harder to market long-term. "Get me a psych eval. I want to know what motivates him before I make the pitch." "The pitch?" Ashley blinked. "Now, you're going to try recruiting him after he killed 17 people. 16 were private contractors. 1 was Dr. Webb, who was 3 months from a sexual harassment lawsuit and a PR nightmare." Madeline pulled up Scorpion's most dramatic footage, freezing on that moment when hellfire crowned his masked head like something from Renaissance paintings of divine wrath. "Ashley, look at him. Really look. What do you see?" Ashley squinted at the screen. "A demon? A threat? A lawsuit waiting to happen. I see a warrior with a code, someone who kills with precision, not rage. Every death was a combat decision, not sadism." Madeline zoomed in on Scorpion's stance, and I see the single most marketable aesthetic since Homelander first put on tights. Mysterious, check, powerful, obviously, foreign, exotic even. That accent alone will drive international demographics wild. Tragic backstory, she gestured at the hellfire. Written all over him. He's literally on fire and murders people with chains. So does Ghost Rider, and Marvel made billions. Madeline smiled that smile, the one that had convinced boards to greenlight superhero theme parks and Compound V for public awareness campaigns. "Get me everything on ninja mythology, Japanese honor codes, martial arts cinema demographics, and someone tracked down whoever's been texting Ashley screenshots from Mortal Kombat with the caption, 'Is this what we're dealing with?' That's me. I've been texting myself." Ashley looked miserable. "The video game franchise. He's identical to the character, like copyright violation identical. Legal's having a stroke. Let legal have their stroke on their own time. And this is opportunity." Madeline began typing notes that would become tomorrow's executive briefing. He appears during a Vought experiment. That makes us the origin story. We frame it right. He's not a breach. He's a breakthrough. Vought International, opening doors to new worlds. We own the narrative before anyone else can spin it. And if he says no to recruitment? Ashley asked quietly. Madeline didn't answer immediately. Outside, Manhattan glittered with lights that represented millions of people who'd watched Compound V Revelations and decided they still wanted superhero merchandise. The truth didn't matter. The story did. Then we make him the villain, she said finally. Easiest thing in the world. Foreign entity, refuses to join American heroes, kills patriots doing their jobs. So we'd have him branded a terrorist by Friday. She paused. But I don't think it'll come to that. Everyone wants something, Ashley. We just need to figure out what he wants and offer it with the right contract terms. Her phone buzzed. Homelander's name glowed on the screen with 3 words. We need to talk. Madeline considered letting it go to voicemail, then reconsidered. Managing Homelander's ego required constant attention, like babysitting a toddler who could level cities. Send me everything you have on Scorpion in the next hour, and Ashley, start drafting merchandising concepts, action figures, video games, Halloween costumes. I want options ready before I pitch him. You're insane, Ashley muttered. I'm realistic. Madeline gathered her tablet, already planning the conversation with Homelander. In this world, the only question that matters is whether you're profitable or disposable. I intend to make our fiery friend very, very profitable. The Newark footage played on loop, silent now, showing Scorpion standing among corporate casualties while Hellfire painted shadows on walls built for pharmaceutical research. Somewhere in Sage Grove, a warrior from the Netherrealm waited in a cell designed for Compound V experiments, unaware that his value was being calculated in merchandise projections and media rights. Welcome to Vought International, where even hell could be branded. The cell at Sage Grove smelled like industrial cleaner trying to mask decades of suffering. Scorpion sat cross-legged on concrete that still bore scorch marks from previous occupants. Compound V users who'd lost control, test subjects who'd failed to stabilize, human experiments that Vaught's lawyers had made legally vanish. The walls were reinforced alloy designed to contain super strength. The door was 6 inches of composite materials. The cameras in every corner tracked his slightest movement with lenses that cost more than most people's houses. None of it mattered. He could leave whenever he chose. Hellfire didn't respect metallurgy, and teleportation laughed at locked doors. But Hanzo Hasashi hadn't survived centuries as a specter by making tactically stupid decisions. He'd watched the floating man. Homelander, the news broadcasts, called him assess threats with eyes that burned with barely controlled murder. He'd seen the corporate soldiers move with the discipline of mercenaries, not warriors. And he'd felt this realm's wrongness settle into his bones like spiritual poison. This wasn't the Netherrealm, wasn't Earthrealm, wasn't any of the dimensions his vengeance had mapped across eternal hunting. The energies here felt manufactured, artificial, like someone had taken the concept of power and mass-produced it, stamping out heroes the way factories stamped out weapons. The door opened. Not violently, controlled, measured. A woman entered, flanked by 2 guards who kept their rifles trained on him with professional steadiness. She wore a suit that probably cost what his clan's entire compound had been worth in life, heels that clicked with authority, and a smile that reminded him of politicians he'd assassinated for the Shogun. Calculated warmth masking predatory assessment. Mr. Hasashi. She gestured for the guards to wait outside. They hesitated until she repeated it with steel beneath velvet. The door sealed behind her with a hiss of pneumatic locks. I'm Madeline Stillwell, Vice President of Hero Management at Vought International. I apologize for the accommodations. We weren't exactly prepared for, well, for you. Scorpion's yellow eyes tracked her movements, the way she positioned herself at optimal speaking distance, not too close to threaten, not too far to seem afraid. Professional. Rehearsed. You hold me prisoner while speaking pleasantries. Where I come from, such dishonor earns a blade. You're not a prisoner. Madeline pulled up a folding chair that definitely hadn't been in the cell 30 seconds ago, sitting with posture that cost thousands in etiquette coaching. You came willingly once we explained the civilian situation. That speaks to a code. Honor, if I'm reading the cultural context correctly. His hand twitched toward his kunai, a warrior's instinct to violent response when stripped naked by words. She'd done research. Fast research. That meant resources, intelligence networks, and the kind of institutional support that made organizations dangerous. What do you want? Scorpion's voice carried that Netherrealm resonance that made lesser beings' spines turn liquid. What do you want? Madeline countered. You appeared through our dimensional breach. Killed our people. Granted, I was in self-defense after they opened fire. Stood your ground against the most powerful being on the planet. Then surrendered without a fight. She leaned forward slightly. That's not the behavior of someone who's lost. That's someone playing a longer game. I want to return to the Netherrealm, to my hunt. Each word came carved from obsidian. Your scientists tore me from sacred vengeance. They will repair this, or they will burn. I believe you. Madeline pulled out a tablet, swiping through footage. Dr. Chen's preliminary analysis suggests the portal's recreation would take months, maybe years. The energy signature you carry is something we've never encountered. It's not Compound V. That's the substance that creates our enhanced individuals. It's something entirely different. Older, more primal. She showed him the screen. Footage of himself tearing through the facility, hellfire painting walls in sulfurous light. Then other footage, men and women in colorful costumes performing feats that looked impressive to civilians, but struck him as theatrics rather than combat. Flying while posing, shooting lasers at targets that exploded for cameras, saving people with smiles that never reached their eyes. These are your realm's warriors. Scorpion's contempt could have curdled milk. These are our heroes. Madeline's smile gained edges. And I use that term generously. They're products, Mr. Hasashi. Manufactured, marketed, and managed. They're not warriors. They're celebrities who happen to have powers, which is where you come in. I serve no master but my clan's honor. I'm not asking you to serve. I'm offering partnership. She switched screens to showing contracts with figures that probably meant something in this realm's currency. Vought International can dedicate resources to returning you home. Dr. Chen's team, unlimited budget, every scientist and engineer we have. But dimensional research isn't cheap, and our board requires justification for expenses. You want payment. Scorpion's tone could have frozen hellfire. What currency does the Netherrealm have that you need? You. Madeline's directness reminded him of generals planning campaigns. Public appearances, controlled demonstrations of your abilities, a few photo opportunities, maybe participate in a charity event or two. Nothing that compromises your warrior code. We'd work within your parameters. You help us justify the research budget, and we get you home. Everyone wins. Scorpion studied her face. Micro-expressions, pupil dilation, respiratory patterns. Centuries of assassination work taught you to read lies in heartbeat rhythms. She believed what she was saying, which meant either exceptional self-deception or genuine offer buried under corporate manipulation. The floating man, Scorpion said, Homelander, he wants me dead. Homelander wants everyone who might challenge him dead. It's kind of his thing. Madeline's honesty surprised him. But he answers to Vought, and Vought answers to profit margins. you're profitable, alive, and cooperative. Dead, you're just a mess to clean up and a PR nightmare. Simple economics. And if I refuse? Her expression didn't change, but something in her eyes hardened. Then we have a problem. Because you killed 17 people on camera. Nay, and right now, the only thing keeping Homeland Security from classifying you as a terrorist threat is Vaught's spin that you were defending yourself from panicked security. That narrative can change very quickly. There it was. The threat beneath the offer, the blade hidden in silk. Scorpion had expected nothing less. Honor and mercy were rare commodities in any realm. At least she respected him enough to be honest about the violence. I will consider, he said finally. Consider fast. Madeline stood, smoothing her skirt. Tomorrow I'm scheduling a press conference. Vaught's position is that you're a dimensional refugee under our protection, not a threat. We'd like you there to reinforce that narrative. Refuse and... She left it hanging, and I become the villain in your realm's story. You catch on quick. She moved toward the door, pausing with her hand on the frame. Mr. Hasashi, I've been managing superhuman egos and corporate politics for a decade. I know manipulation when I see it. Hell, I teach master classes in it. So let me be crystal clear. Vought International can be your ally or your enemy. Allies get resources, support, and eventually passage home. Enemies get buried under legal proceedings and media assassination until they're forgotten. Your choice. The door opened. The guards shifted nervously as she exited, leaving Scorpion alone with his thoughts and the cell's oppressive cameras. He'd faced demons, sorcerers, and gods. He'd walked through the Netherrealm's depths where reality itself screamed. But this place, this corporate hell where power was product and honor was marketing, this might be worse than any realm his vengeance had crossed. Outside, somewhere in this twisted dimension, the woman was already planning how to package his rage for profit. And somewhere above, the floating man with murder in his eyes was watching footage, calculating threats, preparing violence. Scorpion closed his eyes, feeling hellfire pulse beneath dead skin. The Shirai Ryu had survived betrayal, massacre, and centuries of torment. He would survive this too, or he would burn this entire realm trying. Homelander's penthouse sat atop Vought Tower like a crown on a megalomaniac's head. All American flags, eagle motifs, and windows that reflected the city back at itself in his image. He stood before those windows now, cape pooling behind him, watching footage on his phone for the 43rd time. Not the Newark massacre, the arrival, the specific frame where he'd floated through that broken wall expecting terror and submission and had instead met yellow eyes that assessed him like a target, not a god. The Spectre hadn't flinched, hadn't cowered, had looked at Homelander, the Homelander, America's greatest hero, the man who could level cities with his eyes and fuck the sky itself, and registered only tactical interest, like he was just another obstacle between the creature and its goals. The phone screen cracked under his thumb. At the 57th phone this month, Ashley would order another batch. Fuck. The word came out barely above whisper, which meant he was really angry. The kind of angry that preceded laser vision turning people into chunky salsa. Fuck. A knock. Not on the door. Homelander's hearing caught it 3 floors down in Madeline's office, her knuckles rapping wood in that specific pattern that meant she was coming up whether he wanted her or not. 30 seconds later, the penthouse doors opened on hydraulics programmed to appear dramatic. I'm busy, Homelander said, not turning from the window. I can see that. Brooding magnificently. Madeline entered with 2 glasses and a bottle of whiskey that cost more than her car. I need 5 minutes. I don't want to talk about the demon ninja. Then it's fortunate I want to talk about opportunity. She poured 2 fingers into each glass, set one on the table beside him. He's cooperating. Agreed to the press conference tomorrow. Full dog and pony show. You, him, united front about dimensional cooperation and Vought innovation. Homelander's jaw clenched hard enough to crack molars if he still had mortal limitations. He looked at me like I was nothing. He looked at you like a warrior assessing another warrior. Madeline sipped her drink, watching his reflection in the window, which, if you think about it, is the first honest reaction you've gotten from powered individuals in years. Everyone else either fears you or wants to fuck you. He just calculated whether you are worth fighting. And that's supposed to make me feel better. Homelander spun, laser vision flickering at the edges. Some undead asshole from Mortal Kombat dimension gets yanked through a portal and immediately treats me like I'm A-Train, like I'm fucking Lamplighter. He treats everyone that way. I've watched the footage. Every guard, every scientist, me. We're all tactical variables to him. No emotional investment. She set down her glass, which makes him manageable. You can't manipulate someone with ego because he doesn't have one. He's not trying to climb the ladder or earn approval. He's just trying to get home. So we sent him home. Problem solved. Can't, not for months, maybe years. The dimensional breach fried half our equipment. Nuts and replicating the energy signature requires research that'll cost 8 figures minimum. Madeline moved closer, using that tone she reserved for managing his more volatile moments. But here's what we can do. We position him as your ally, the mysterious supernatural force working alongside America's greatest hero. It makes you look magnanimous, him look less threatening, and Vought look innovative. I don't need allies. I'm the strongest man alive. You're the strongest soupe alive, she corrected. He's not a soupe. He's something else. Something supernatural, which means different rules, different threat assessment. Her hand touched his shoulder, the only person who could do that without risking vaporization. You fought gods in those movies. Literal gods. What's one more ancient warrior? Homelander stared at his reflection in the window, seeing what millions saw. The perfect hero, the American dream in red, white, and blue. Cape perfectly draped, posture immaculate, hair not moving despite the penthouse's climate control because he'd learned to keep it still for cameras. He's not afraid of me, Homelander said quietly. Should he be? Madeline's question carried calculated weight. You're powerful. So is he. Fear comes from dominance, and you haven't established dominance. Yet. The yet hung in air like bait on a hook. Homelander's lips curled into something approximating a smile, the expression he wore before doing things that made Ashley need new sedatives. What are you thinking? Madeline asked, though her tone suggested she already knew. So I'm thinking tomorrow's press conference needs a demonstration. Something that shows everyone, including our fiery friend, exactly what kind of power Vought represents. Homelander picked up the whiskey, downed it in one swallow. He wants to go home. Fine. But first he needs to understand the hierarchy in this realm. Don't kill him. I won't have to. Just educate him. Homelander's eyes burned cerulean for a moment, laser vision reflecting in the window. He's a warrior, right? Warriors respect strength. So I'll show him strength. Make him understand that cooperation isn't optional. It's survival. Madeline considered this, running calculations that involved stock prices, media reactions, and the very real possibility that Homelander's ego would turn a press conference into a bloodbath. Public demonstration. Controlled environment. Not just us. No cameras. Well, your cameras for documentation. I want him to see what I can do without holding back for civilian safety. Homelander turned to face her fully. Set it up. Before the press conference. Private session. Me and him. And if he says no, then he's hostile, and I'm authorized to use lethal force defending Vought property. Homelander's smile widened. Win-win. Madeline's phone buzzed. She glanced at it. Ashley, naturally, with 14 texts about logistics and 3 about needing therapy. I'll arrange it tomorrow morning, before the press circus. But Homelander, she met his eyes, seeing the barely contained violence swimming behind them. If you break him, we lose a very valuable asset in the dimensional research angle. Damaged is fine, traumatized even, but intact. I'm a professional, Madeline. See, I know how to send messages without killing the messenger. He moved to his personal elevator, the one that went directly to his private training facility. Set it up, 8 a.m., and make sure someone explains to our demon friend that refusing would be unwise. She watched him leave, cape billowing dramatically even though there was no wind in the penthouse. The doors closed with a hydraulic hiss that probably cost 6 figures to sound that intimidating. Madeline pulled out her phone, texting Ashley. Arrange sparring facility for 8 a.m. tomorrow. Homelander and Scorpion. Private. Full documentation. Bring sedatives. Ashley's response came instantly. Why sedatives? For me. Not them. She poured another drink, staring out at Manhattan's glittering sprawl. Somewhere in Sage Grove, a warrior from hell waited in a cell, be unaware that tomorrow morning he'd face a narcissistic godchild with laser vision and enough psychological damage to fuel a psychiatric journal. This would either establish clear hierarchy or explode spectacularly. Either way, it would be documented, analyzed, and eventually monetized. Welcome to Vought International, where even dominance displays had merchandising potential. The facility existed in Vought Tower's sublevels, where corporate architecture gave way to military pragmatism. Reinforced walls designed to contain super-strength tantrums. Floors that had absorbed blood, sweat, and occasionally bits of soups who'd pushed their compound V enhancements past biological tolerance. Camera arrays in every corner, recording everything for legal protection and training analysis. Ashley Barrett stood in the observation booth with 4 security personnel, a medical team on standby, and a stress headache that felt like someone using her skull for percussion practice. This is a terrible idea, she muttered, watching technicians run final checks on containment protocols. It's a brilliant idea, Madeline corrected from beside her, tablet in hand. Homelander needs to establish dominance. Scorpion needs to understand the power dynamics. This accomplishes both with minimal public exposure. What if Homelander kills him? Then we have excellent footage for our dimensional research warning protocols. Madeline's pragmatism could freeze nitrogen. But he won't. He wants to prove superiority, not eliminate a potential asset. There's a difference. The facility doors opened with hydraulic precision. Homelander entered first, cape billowing despite the underground space's still air, boots clicking against reinforced concrete with martial rhythm. He'd spent 40 minutes on his appearance, hair perfect, suit immaculate, posture radiating controlled violence, every movement calculated for maximum intimidation factor. Scorpion entered from the opposite door, flanked by guards who looked like they'd aged 5 years overnight. The Spectre moved with that fluid economy veterans recognized. No wasted motion, every step balanced for instant combat response. His yellow eyes swept the facility, cataloging exits, camera positions, structural weaknesses. Hellfire flickered along his forearms, barely contained. The guards retreated, the doors sealed. 2 beings who'd killed more people than some small wars stood 60 feet apart in a space designed for soupe tantrums. "Morning," Homelander called out, that folksy menace thick as molasses. "Sleep well? I know Sage Grove's accommodations aren't 5-star, but we try to keep our guests comfortable." Scorpion didn't respond, didn't acknowledge the words, just continued his tactical assessment, gaze sweeping from Homelander to the observation booth to the facility's reinforced ceiling. Not much of a talker, huh? That's okay, and I can talk enough for both of us. Homelander's smile sharpened. "See, Madeline, Ms. Stillwell, She has this idea that we should be partners. Team up. Show the world that Vaught's big enough for both traditional soups and whatever you are. Dimensional refugees, she's calling it. Great PR spin. I want to return home. Scorpion's voice carried that Netherrealm resonance that made the observation booth speakers crackle. Not partnership, not performance. Home. Sure, and we'll get you there. Eventually, after months of research and millions of dollars. Homelander floated 6 inches off the ground, casual display of power, nothing aggressive. Yet, but while you're here, you're in my house. My realm, as you might say. Which means my rules. I follow the Shirai Ryu Code. No other law matters. See, that's where we have a problem. Homelander drifted closer, lazy circles like a shark assessing prey. Because in this realm, there's only one rule that matters. I'm the strongest thing alive. I'm the top of the food chain. I'm the fucking apex predator. And everyone respects that, or they learn to. In the observation booth, Ashley gripped the railing hard enough to leave dents. He's going to push him. Oh God, he's going to push him, and someone's going to die, and I'm going to have to spin it. Quiet, Madeline said, watching with clinical interest. This is the interesting part. Scorpion's stance shifted. Subtle change that combat veterans would recognize as preparation for violence. Your strength means nothing to me. I have died. I have walked the Netherrealm, and I have faced combatants who would break you like kindling. Yeah? Homelander's laser vision flickered, cerulean warning beneath his eyes. Want to test that theory? If you desire death, I will oblige. The temperature dropped 10 degrees as hellfire erupted along Scorpion's form, sulfurous flames painting the facility in orange-yellow damnation. His kunai spun once, chain rattling, the sound somehow cutting through reinforced walls. Ooh, scary fire. Homelander's smile could cut glass. Let me show you what scary really looks like. His laser vision lanced out, not the quick bursts he used for cameras, but sustained beams designed to cut through aircraft carriers. Twin columns of coherent energy that turned air to plasma, temperature spiking past 3,000 degrees in microseconds. Scorpion teleported. In one instant, he stood in the beam's path. The next, he existed, 3 feet left, hellfire trailing like afterimage. Homelander's lasers carved trenches in reinforced walls, molten metal dripping like wax. The Spectre's kunai flew before the hero could adjust aim. Get over here! The spear took Homelander in the shoulder, barbs finding flesh that had never known bullets. For one eternal second, the most powerful super alive experienced the sensation of hooked metal tearing through tissue, something impossible registering across nerve clusters that had only known invulnerability. Then Scorpion pulled. Homelander flew. Not controlled flight, not graceful superhero arc. He yanked across space like anyone else caught by that impossible chain, momentum overriding his flying ability. Scorpion's palm strike caught him mid-trajectory, where hellfire-wreathed knuckles crashing into American pride. The impact sent Homelander into the facility wall hard enough to crack reinforced concrete. He rebounded, cape tangled, hair, perfect fucking hair. Actually mussed. Blood welled from the shoulder wound, impossible red against blue suit. In the observation booth, silence stretched thick enough to suffocate. Ashley's jaw had physically dropped. The security personnel stood frozen. Even Madeline's calculated composure showed hairline fractures. He's bleeding, someone whispered. Homelander's bleeding. Homelander looked at his shoulder, at the blood staining his suit, at the wound that shouldn't exist in his invulnerable flesh. His expression cycled through confusion, shock, then rage so pure it could have powered cities. You made me bleed. His voice came from somewhere deep, and something primal beneath the corporate hero persona. You actually made me fucking bleed. Scorpion stood ready, kunai spinning. Your strength is mortal. My power comes from beyond death. Know the difference. I'll show you difference. Homelander's laser vision erupted. No finesse, no control. Pure rage translated to heat vision that turned half the facility into melting infrastructure. He flew at Scorpion with speeds that broke sound barriers in confined spaces, fists swinging with enough force to crater buildings. The Spectre met him with centuries of martial discipline. Where Homelander had raw power, Scorpion had technique, blocks that redirected force, strikes that found pressure points even on superhuman anatomy, teleportation that turned superior speed into liability. Hellfire clashed with laser vision. Super strength met supernatural rage. They were destroying the facility, walls crumbling, floor cracking. The observation booths reinforced glass spider webbing under pressure waves. Ashley pulled the medical team back, already calculating casualty counts and media responses. Madeline just watched, tablet recording everything, expression unreadable. Homelander landed a hit. Full power, no restraint. His fist caught Scorpion in the chest hard enough to pulverize bone and rupture organs. The Spectre flew backward, crashed through equipment worth 6 figures, lay still for 2 full seconds, then stood up. Hellfire knitting wounds that should have been fatal. Yellow eyes unchanged behind that skull mask. Immortal, Scorpion said simply. I said, you cannot kill what already died. Then I'll make you wish you could die again. Homelander's control was gone. Corporate Polish shattered. This was the real him, the thing Madeline spent millions on therapy and image management to contain. I'll burn you until there's nothing left but ash. Enough! Madeline's voice cut through the facility's speakers with volume that made everyone flinch. Both of you, stop. Now. Homelander froze, conditioned response to her authority. Scorpion remained ready, but the hellfire dimmed slightly. You've both proven your point, Madeline continued, voice carrying steel beneath silk. Homelander, he can hurt you. Scorpion, he can hurt you. Mutual destruction established. Now either kill each other, and I'll have both your asses buried under paperwork, or we proceed with the partnership as rational beings. Choose. Silence. Combat readiness slowly ebbing. Both warriors bleeding, both furious, both calculating whether continued violence served any purpose. Fine, Homelander spat. Blood dripped from his shoulder, wound already healing, but the indignity remained. But this isn't over. It never is, Scorpion agreed. The facility doors opened. Medical teams rushed in, though neither combatant accepted treatment. Homelander flew out without another word, cape leaving smoke trails. Scorpion walked past the guards like they were furniture, heading back to his cell with that same controlled violence. In the observation booth, Ashley stared at the wreckage. Millions in damage, and the first documented injury to Homelander's flesh, and security footage that could never, ever be released publicly without destroying Vaught's entire narrative. That was your brilliant idea? Ashley's voice climbed octaves. They almost killed each other. Homelander bled. The press conference is in 4 hours. What the hell are we going to tell people when they see the shoulder wound? Madeline smiled, reviewing the footage on her tablet. We tell them nothing. This footage doesn't exist. Homelander's wound will heal, and both of them now understand exactly what happens if they push too far. She turned to Ashley. Corporate management, honey. Sometimes you need controlled explosions to prevent bigger ones. Now get makeup to cover his shoulder, and someone bring Scorpion the contract revisions. If he just proved he can hurt Homelander, he's worth triple what I originally offered. The facility alarms wailed. Damage control teams began assessing the wreckage. Somewhere above, Manhattan prepared for a press conference that would spin dimensional refugees and cooperation, while 2 beings who just tried to kill each other smiled for cameras. Welcome to Vought International, where corporate hierarchy got negotiated through violence, then branded for profit. The press conference room gleamed with the kind of corporate sterility that cost 7 figures to design. All chrome accents, Vought logos positioned for optimal camera angles, and lighting calculated to make heroes look divine while washing out anyone who asked uncomfortable questions. 200 journalists crowded risers. Cameras from 19 networks pointed at the stage where America would learn that dimensional travel wasn't science fiction anymore. Scorpion stood backstage beside a makeup artist who'd given up trying to powder his hellfire-scorched mask, watching Homelander through a gap in the curtains. The wound from their morning encounter had healed completely. Compound 5 biology, working overtime. But the hero's body language screamed barely controlled rage. Every smile for the assembling press forced through gritted teeth. You'll stand stage right," Ashley explained for the 4th time, her stress-pulled hair revealing patches of scalp. "Let Homelander and Ms. Stillwell do the talking. You just look mysterious and nod when prompted. Can you nod? Please tell me you can nod." "I'm not a trained animal," Scorpion said. "Right, of course. Totally." Ashley's laugh bordered on hysteria. "Just, please don't set anything on fire. The sprinkler system's still being repaired from last month when Homelander... Never mind. No fire. That's the key message." The Deep sidled over, his scaled suit catching light in ways that probably looked impressive to civilians. Up close, Scorpion detected desperation thick enough to choke on. The particular stench of someone whose relevance was slipping and knew it. "Hey man, Kevin, the Deep." He extended a hand that Scorpion ignored. Maz just wanted to say, that thing this morning with Homelander? Fucking legendary. Nobody's ever made him bleed. Like, ever. That's going in the history books. You speak of combat as entertainment. Scorpion's contempt could have flash-frozen oceans. Where I come from, warriors who dishonor battle die screaming. Yeah, totally. Respect. The Deep nodded with that vacant enthusiasm of someone not processing words. "Listen, after this circus, some of us are hitting this club. Exclusive place? Models. The whole deal. You should come. Celebrate your debut. I could introduce you to some girls who are really into the mysterious demon vibe." Before Scorpion could respond with the violence that suggestion deserved, A-Train materialized beside them in a blur of motion. A compound V-enhanced metabolism, burning so hot the speedster practically vibrated. His eyes held that particular glaze of someone 3 doses past safe consumption. "Deep, fuck off. Nobody wants you here." A train's words came rapid fire, chemical acceleration evident in every syllable. "Scorpion, right. Look, I need to know. That teleport thing, is it actual speed or dimensional shifting? Because if it's speed, we should test it, see who's faster. I'm thinking we set up a course, maybe get some cameras, make it a whole event. Could be huge for both our brands." "I do not have a brand," Scorpion said. "I have vengeance." "Right, the vengeance angle. That's gold, very marketable." A-Train's attention was already fragmenting, eyes darting toward the stage, the exits, anywhere but present conversation. "Anyway, if you need anything, V, connections, whatever, I'm your guy. Networking's important in this business." "This business." Scorpion repeated the words like examining something diseased. "You are warriors." "Heroes," the Deep corrected. "Technically, we're heroes." "You dishonor the concept." Scorpion's hellfire flickered. "Warriors train for duty. You train for cameras. I have seen your kind in every realm, those who take power without earning it, who wear honor like costume instead of living it." The Deep's face reddened. "Hey, fuck you, okay? You don't know what it's like. The pressure, the contracts, the constant scrutiny. We're doing the best we can." "Your best would not survive one trial in the Shirai Ryu." Scorpion turned away, dismissing them as beneath notice. children playing with weapons, calling themselves soldiers. A-Train's jaw clenched. But before he could respond, Madeline materialized with that corporate teleportation that came from always knowing where to be. Gentlemen, stage time in 2 minutes. Deep, you're in the front row smiling. A-Train, you're not even supposed to be here. Go take your maintenance dose before someone notices the jaw clenching. Move. They scattered like scolded children, which is precisely what they were. Products given powers, not warriors who'd earned them. Scorpion watched them go, understanding crystallizing like ice in his chest. These weren't heroes. They were actors, commodities, corporate assets dressed in bright colors and given abilities they hadn't sacrificed for, hadn't bled for, hadn't died for. Ready? Madeline asked, though it wasn't really a question. To parade for crowds while you profit from my captivity. Scorpion's yellow eyes fixed on her. No, but I will play your game until the portal home opens. Honesty, I appreciate that. She guided him toward the stage entrance. Just remember, they're going to ask questions. Ignore anything controversial. If someone asks about the facility deaths, that's my problem, not yours. You're here to look intimidating and mysterious. The curtains parted. Stage lights hit like physical force, hundreds of camera flashes creating strobe nightmare. Homelander stood center stage in his perfect suit, perfect hair, perfect smile that didn't reach his eyes. Madeline took position beside him. Scorpion stood stage right as instructed, feeling every lens capture his image for dissection and profit. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, Madeline began, her voice carrying that practiced warmth that masked steel. Thank you for joining us on this historic day. As you know, 3 days ago, Vought International achieved a breakthrough in dimensional research. What you don't know is that this breakthrough had an unexpected consequence, the arrival of a visitor from another realm. Murmurs rippled through the press corps. Cameras pivoted toward Scorpion, capturing every detail for the hungry public that consumed superhero content like addicts. This is Hanzo Hasashi, known in his realm as Scorpion, a warrior from a dimension where power is earned through trial and dedication, not granted through random chance. Madeline's spin was flawless, reframing his entire existence as Vought marketing opportunity. He arrived through no choice of his own, and Vought International has committed to helping him return home while ensuring his presence here poses no threat to public safety. Homelander, a journalist called out. There are reports of a confrontation at the Newark facility. Can you comment? Homelander's smile could have sold toothpaste. When I arrived at the facility, there was understandable confusion, but once we established communication, it became clear that Scorpion here is a man of honor, a warrior, like Miss Stillwell said. We've come to an understanding. He's under Vought's protection now. The lie tasted like ash in the air between them. Scorpion felt Homelander's attention like laser targeting, the hero's barely contained rage vibrating beneath corporate polish. Scorpion, another reporter shouted. What's your world like? Are there others like you? Ashley's panicked gestures from off-stage said don't answer, but Scorpion hadn't survived centuries by following others' orders. My realm sorts warriors through combat. Power is earned through blood and discipline. Here, he gestured at the assembled press, the corporate logos, the manufactured spectacle. Here, power is purchased, given to children who have not bled for it. It is obscenity. The press corps erupted. Cameras surged forward. Madeline's smile never wavered, but her eyes promised painful conversations later. Homelander's laser vision flickered. Brief cerulean warning. What Scorpion means, Madeline interjected smoothly, is that his culture has different traditions around power and responsibility. We're helping him adjust to our more collaborative approach to heroism. Is it true you killed 17 Vought employees? Someone yelled. They attacked first, Scorpion said simply. I defended. In combat, there are only two outcomes, survival or death. They chose poorly. More chaos. More questions shouted over each other. Ashley looked ready to vomit. Madeline maintained composure through pure corporate will. And Homelander's smile had gained edges sharp enough to cut. The press conference devolved into controlled pandemonium, journalists screaming questions while Madeline fielded answers that meant nothing, spinning narrative faster than reality could correct it. Through it all, Scorpion stood silent, watching the spectacle with growing disgust. This was their heroism. This performance. This corporate theater where violence became marketing and warriors became products. Where the deep spoke of clubs and women like conquest instead of dishonor. Where A-Train's chemical dependency was maintenance instead of weakness. Where Homelander pretended partnership while plotting murder. The Shirai Ryu had been massacred. His family burned, his entire clan erased. But even in death, they'd maintained more honor than this realm's heroes possessed in life. Backstage afterward, as Ashley coordinated damage control and Madeline fielded executive calls about Scorpion's refreshing honesty, the Spectre stood alone in the green room. Through the walls, he heard the deep propositioning an intern, heard a train crushing pills, heard Homelander in his dressing room smashing furniture while maintaining perfectly composed public face. Because these were not warriors. They were parasites wearing hero costumes. And Scorpion was trapped in their realm until Vaught's scientists could tear open reality itself. He'd walked through the Netherrealm's depths, faced demons and sorcerers, killed gods and monsters. But this corporate hell, where honor was marketing and power was product, might be worse than any realm his vengeance had crossed. Outside, Manhattan consumed the press conference footage. Social media exploded with hot takes. Stock prices fluctuated, and somewhere in the city's grimy underground, people who hated soups and corporations in equal measure watched with very different interest. The boys had found their newest potential recruit. The approach came 3 days later, after Vought had scheduled 17 more appearances, 12 brand meetings, and 1 charity gala where Scorpion would pose with cancer kids for photo ops. He'd refused all of it, spending his time in the Sage Grove cell, meditating on hellfire and planning 18 different escape routes that wouldn't serve his ultimate goal of returning home. The security breach occurred at 3 a.m. and no alarms, no alerts. Just the cell door opening with a soft click that shouldn't have been possible. Scorpion was on his feet instantly, kunai spinning, expecting Vought assassination squad or Homelander's midnight murder visit. Instead, 4 people entered who looked like they'd dressed in whatever they'd found in alley dumpsters. The leader, British accent thick enough to build houses with, a coat that had seen better decades, and smile that promised ultra-violence, held up both hands in theatrical peace. Easy, mate. We ain't here to fight. Well, I mean, we could fight. Probably be a right proper scrap. But that ain't why we've come. He gestured at his companions. Name's Butcher, Billy Butcher. These are my associates, Huey, M.M., and Frenchie. We're what you might call concerned citizens. Scorpion's eyes tracked each of them. The nervous young one with tech equipment, the organized soldier with concealed weapons, the wild-haired Frenchman with explosive maker's hands. Professionals, after a fashion. Not corporate soldiers, something else. How did you breach their security? Scorpion asked. Trade secrets in it? Butcher's smile widened. Let's just say Vought spends billions on keeping soupies contained. They're but regular humans with the right tools. We slip through like ghosts. He stepped closer, casual despite the hellfire flickering along Scorpion's forearms. Been watching you. That press conference, power is purchased, given to children. Fucking beautiful. Most honest things said about soups in a decade. You hate the heroes of this realm. Hate's a strong word. I despise them, loathe them. Want to see every last cape-wearing cunt buried 6 feet under. Butcher's mask of humor dropped, revealing something colder underneath. They killed people I love. They kill people every day, civilians, innocents, and Vought covers it up with lawyers and bribes. The world thinks they're heroes. We know what they really are. MM stepped forward, voice measured and professional. We've been fighting Vought and the Soups for years. Underground war. They have powers, money, corporate support. We have anger, discipline, and willingness to cross lines that normal law enforcement won't. And you want me to join this war? Scorpion understood recruitment pitches across all realms. Same structure, different words. We want to offer you an alternative, Huey said, voice carrying earnestness that seemed out of place among hardened killers. Vaught's playing you. That portal research, they'll string you along for years, milk you for appearances and marketing while you're trapped here. Or worse, Homelander decides you're too much trouble and lasers you when cameras aren't rolling. Homelander cannot kill me. Maybe not, but he can make your existence here fucking miserable. Butcher pulled out a tablet showing footage. The facility fight, Homelander's wound healing, the rage in those eyes. He's a narcissistic psychopath with God complex and mommy issues. You made him bleed. He'll never forgive that. He'll come at you again and again until one of you's dead or broken. Scorpion studied the footage, seeing truth in Butcher's assessment. Homelander's psychology was clear to anyone trained in reading opponents, deeply damaged, desperately craving validation, violently protective of perceived superiority. The wound had shattered his worldview. He would seek revenge regardless of Vaught's orders. What do you offer instead? Scorpion asked. Freedom. Real freedom, not Vaught's contract prison bullshit. MM opened a case containing weapons, equipment, intelligence files. We have resources, safe houses, technology, and we're very good at making Soupy's lives complicated. You help us, as we help you, find a way home that doesn't require Vaught's permission. You have dimensional scientists? No, Butcher admitted, but we have something better. Motivation. Vought controls the portal research because it profits them. We'd be motivated by getting you the fuck out of here, because every day you're gone is one less weapon they can use. Frenchie spoke for the first time, accent thick and musical. Also, mon ami, you are warrior. We see this. Discipline, honor, purpose. These soupers, he made a contemptuous gesture. They are children with guns. No training, no code, just power and ego. You do not belong with them. You belong with soldiers. Scorpion circled them slowly, hellfire casting dancing shadows. You speak of honor while operating as assassins. You claim righteousness while planning murder. How are you different from those you oppose? We ain't, Butcher said simply. We're fucking terrible people doing terrible things. Difference is, we know it. We don't dress it up in capes and patriotism. We don't pretend we're heroes while raping women and killing civilians. We're honest about being cunts. And you believe honesty excuses your methods? Fuck no, nothing excuses it. But it's necessary. Butcher's eyes held something broken beneath the rage. You're a warrior, yeah? You understand sacrifice. Sometimes stopping greater evil requires becoming lesser evil. Sometimes saving innocents means getting your hands so bloody you'll never wash them clean. Scorpion considered this. The philosophy wasn't foreign. His own path had been carved through centuries of morally complex choices. Vengeance required compromises, while justice demanded sacrifices. But there was difference between warriors' code and terrorists' justification. Show me proof, Scorpion demanded, of their crimes, of civilian deaths and corporate cover-ups. If what you claim is true, I will consider alliance. If you lie, we don't lie about this. MM pulled out additional files, incident reports, death certificates, cover-up documentation. A-Train killed Huey's girlfriend. ran through her at super speed because he was racing another super high on Compound V. Turned her into red mist. Vought paid the family, buried the evidence, spun it as tragic accident. Huey's face confirmed the truth. That particular grief, fresh loss worn like wounds, couldn't be faked. The Deep sexually assaults women regularly, MM continued. Uses his 7 status for access. He then threatens them with career destruction if they report. Vaught's legal team handles the NDAs. Homelander. Butcher's laugh held no humor. Where do we start? Plane full of people he could have saved, let them die because the cameras weren't rolling. My wife, raped her, got her pregnant, kept the kid as a fucking pet project. Civilian casualties in every major battle, covered up by Vaught's media machine. The files spread across the cell's floor. Documentation of systematic abuse, corporate cover-ups, soups treating humans as disposable. Each page another crime, another life erased by power without accountability. Compound V itself is a crime, MM said quietly. They inject babies, create superhumans without consent, then raise them as weapons or celebrities. The ones who don't make the cut disappeared. Failed experiments buried in places like this facility. Scorpion's hellfire burned brighter, not from anger, but recognition. This was worse than his vendetta against Sub-Zero. This was institutional evil, corporate-scale murder dressed in heroism's clothes. Sub-Zero had killed his family through ninja warfare. Brutal, but honest. These soups, killed through negligence and narcissism, then were rewarded with fame and fortune. You want me to kill them, Scorpion said. Not question, statement. Eventually, yeah. Butcher's honesty was refreshing in its brutality. But first, we want you to help us expose them. Prove what they really are. Break Vaught's narrative control. Maybe save some lives in the process. The killing can come after, if necessary. You've clearly thought about the killing part, Huey muttered. So I always think about the killing part. It's my favorite part. Scorpion studied them. Damaged people fighting impossible war against enemies with corporate backing and supernatural power. Terrorists by this realm's legal definitions. Freedom fighters by their own estimation. Warriors without honor, or the only honest fighters in a system built on lies. I will not join you, Scorpion said finally. Butcher's expression soured. Right, well that's... But I will accept information about Vaught's portal research, and I will not report this conversation to their security. Scorpion's kunai stopped spinning. If your claims prove true, if these heroes are as corrupt as documented, I may reconsider. But I will not commit to alliance with those who operate without code. Fair enough. MM collected the files. We'll be in touch. So got ways of reaching you even in Vought custody. When you're ready to talk again, or when Homelander makes his next move, whichever comes first, we'll be there. They moved toward the door with professional efficiency. Butcher paused at the threshold, looking back with something almost like respect. You know what the real kick in the teeth is, he said. You're more of a hero than any of those cunts upstairs. You've got an actual code, actual principles, and you're literally a demon from hell. Says something about this world, don't it? It says your realm is broken beyond repair, Scorpion replied. Yeah, that's why we're trying to burn it down and build something better from the ashes. Butcher's smile returned, sharp and ugly. Welcome to Earth, mate. It's a fucking nightmare, but at least we're honest about it. They vanished into Sage Grove's corridors, leaving Scorpion alone with documentation of systematic evil and a choice between Vaught's gilded cage and the boy's bloody crusade. Outside his cell, guards would arrive in 3 minutes, wondering how the door had opened. Madeline would review security footage that showed nothing. And somewhere in Vought Tower's executive suite, conversations about managing their dimensional asset would continue without knowledge that other players had entered the game. Scorpion returned to meditation, hellfire flickering in the darkness, considering the possibility that escaping one hell had only delivered him to another. Dr. Patricia Chen's new lab existed in Vought Tower's research wing, 3 floors below Hero Management and 2 above the facility where they'd contained Compound V users who'd gone violently insane. She stared at dimensional readouts that shouldn't exist while trying not to think about the 17 colleagues who died in Newark. The dimensional breach had fundamentally altered her understanding of physics. What terrified her more was realizing Vought cared less about the science than the profit potential. Scorpion stood in her lab at Madeline's insistence. Cooperative research, she'd called it, which meant let the Spectre watch so he thinks we're actually trying. Chen had protested that his presence would be disruptive. Madeline had smiled that smile and said employees who couldn't adapt quickly found themselves in different careers, and or different morgues, though that part went unspoken. The portal's recreation requires replicating the exact resonance frequency, Chen explained, more to fill silence than from belief he cared. The energies you carry are unique, not electromagnetic, not quantum. Something we don't have classification for. It's like trying to reverse engineer magic. Because it is magic. Scorpion examined her equipment with Warrior's assessment, seeing gaps in security, structural weaknesses, potential escape routes. Netherrealm energies. Elder God's power filtered through death and resurrection. Your science cannot comprehend what exists beyond material realm. Right. Except science is kind of how we do things here. Chen pulled up holographic displays showing energy patterns. These readings from your arrival, the signatures degrading. See, whatever tether connected you to your home dimension is weakening daily. In 6 months, it might be undetectable, which means replicating the portal becomes exponentially harder. Scorpion's hellfire flickered. You're saying I have limited time. I'm saying Vaught's timeline of months, maybe years, is optimistic bullshit. Chen's exhaustion overcame self-preservation. The truth? We don't know if we can send you back. The portal was accident. Recreating accidents is functionally impossible. But they won't tell you that because then you'd stop cooperating with their PR circus. Why tell me this? Chen met those yellow eyes, seeing something in them that reminded her why she'd become a scientist instead of corporate climber. Because you deserve honesty. And because I'm tired of watching Vought turn everything, including people from other dimensions, into merchandise. Before Scorpion could respond, the lab doors opened. Not Madeline's scheduled visit, not Ashley's nervous updates. A-Train moving at speeds that suggested several maintenance doses passed safe, accompanied by 2 Vought security personnel carrying a case that Chen immediately recognized. Dr. Chen. A-Train's words came rapid fire, chemical acceleration evident. Executive order from Mrs. Stillwell. Subject Scorpion gets baseline evaluation, specifically Compound V compatibility testing. That wasn't on today's schedule. It is now. The security guards opened the case, revealing syringes filled with that distinctive blue serum. Chen had seen it thousands of times, the substance that created heroes, destroyed test subjects, and funded Vaught's entire empire. Standard protocol for potential recruits. See if we can enhance what he already has. He's not a recruit. He's a dimensional refugee. Chen moved between them and Scorpion, professional ethics overwhelming corporate survival instinct. And injecting him with Compound V without understanding his biology could kill him. Or worse. He's already dead, apparently. Hard to kill twice. A-Train's laugh held chemical edge. Besides, orders are orders. You want to call Madeline and explain why you're refusing executive directive? Be my guest. Scorpion's stance shifted. Subtle change that combat veterans recognized as violence preparation. You will not inject me with your corrupted substance. See, that's where you're wrong. A-Train blurred, suddenly holding syringe inches from Scorpion's neck. "It's happening whether you..." The speedster's next words died in teleportation displacement. One instant, A-Train held position. Next, Scorpion existed behind him, kunai pressed against spine with enough pressure to dimple skin through suit. "Try again," Scorpion hissed, Netherrealm resonance making lab equipment rattle. "And I paint these walls with your organs." "Whoa, hey." The security guards raised weapons, but Chen noted their hands shook. They'd seen the Newark footage. They knew what happened to people who fought the Spectre. "Nobody needs to explain this, Compound V." Scorpion's voice carried command weight that made even A-Train freeze. "What is it? How does it create your powers?" Chen watched the standoff, calculating trajectories of how this could end. All of them involved blood. Several involved her catching stray violence. But something in Scorpion's tone suggested he wanted answers more than kills. It's... A-Train's confidence evaporated under kunai pressure. "It's what makes soups. The drug. The treatment. We get it as babies or adults if they're desperate. Makes you superhuman. Gives you powers." "All of you?" Scorpion's hellfire intensified. "Every hero in this realm received artificial enhancement. Not artificial. It's sophisticated biochemical modification that..." Chen stopped herself. "Yes, every soup got it. Compound V creates enhanced humans. That's how this works. That's how it's always worked." The silence stretched like wire under tension. Through it, Chen watched Scorpion process information that fundamentally altered his understanding of this realm's warriors. As she'd seen this expression before, on test subjects learning they weren't chosen by destiny, but manufactured in labs. The specific disappointment when mythology collapsed into corporate science. "You're not warriors," Scorpion said finally, voice carrying weight of absolute judgment. "You are experiments. Products. Your power is purchased, not earned. Given by injection, not sacrifice. You are children playing with weapons you did not forge." "Hey, fuck you." A-Train's drug courage resurged despite kunai at his spine. "We train, we fight, we save people. You save people for cameras, for contracts, for celebrity." Scorpion released him with contemptuous shove. "I have walked realms where warriors earn power through blood and discipline, where strength comes from trial, not needle. You are mockery of everything Kombat represents." A-Train blurred to safe distance, rubbing his neck. "You don't know shit about what it takes to..." "I know you require chemicals to maintain your speed. I smell it on you. Desperation, addiction, body breaking under enhancement. It was not meant to hold." Scorpion turned to Chen. "This Compound V, it is not permanent." "Depends on application," Chen admitted, academic honesty overriding corporate loyalty. "Childhood injection creates stable biology. Adult application is problematic, requires maintenance doses. Users develop dependence. Side effects include aggression, narcissism, physiological breakdown. A-Train's heart issues are documented in his medical file." "Those files are confidential," A-Train started. "Oh, please. Everyone knows you're one dose from cardiac failure." Chen's exhaustion had evolved into reckless honesty. "Just like everyone knows Homelander's psychologically unstable, the Deep's a sexual predator, and this entire industry is built on injecting babies with experimental serum to create controllable superhumans." "Jesus Christ, Chen. What? He's going to tell Vought I said the truth? They already know. They created this nightmare." She turned to Scorpion. "You want to know about Compound V? Fine. It was developed by Frederick Vought, Nazi scientist who fled Germany after World War II. Created the serum to make superhumans for military use. The whole superhero industry started as weapons program. These aren't heroes. They're products of Nazi science, corporatized and marketed for profit." The security guards looked ready to bolt. A-Train's jaw worked soundlessly. And Scorpion's hellfire burned with something beyond rage, the cold fury of warrior discovering ultimate betrayal. Nazi science, he repeated. Your heroes are created by those who sought to dominate through genetic superiority. Manufactured Übermenschen, given powers they did not earn, then dressed in costumes and called saviors. Welcome to Vought International, Chen said bitterly, where war criminals' research becomes billion-dollar entertainment empire, and nobody asks uncomfortable questions because the stock price keeps rising. Dr. Chen, you need to shut up. A-Train pulled out phone. I'm calling this in. Madeline needs to know. Scorpion's kunai took the phone mid-dial, reducing it to components. You will call no one. This scientist shows honor and honesty. More than any manufactured hero I have met. You're making a huge mistake. A-Train backed toward the door, chemical courage evaporating. Vought owns this realm. You can't fight that. Nobody can. I have fought elder gods and won. I have carved vengeance through the Netherrealm itself. Your corporate empire does not intimidate me. Scorpion's attention fixed on Chen. How do I destroy it? This Compound V production? How do I eliminate the source of your corrupted heroes? Chen blinked. You're asking me how to commit corporate terrorism. I'm asking how to purge this realm of manufactured power. You said I deserve honesty. Be honest now. Can this infection be stopped? She should call security, should alert Madeline, should protect her career and possibly her life by refusing to answer. Instead, as Chen pulled up classified files she wasn't supposed to access, showing Compound V production facilities, storage locations, distribution networks. Theoretically, destroy the production facilities. Vought has 3 main labs. Here. One in Newark, you already visited. One in Atlanta. Eliminate those. You cripple their supply chain. But they have stockpiles, backup facilities, and every Supe who's already injected carries V in their system. You'd have to kill them all. Scorpion understood strategic implications. Every manufactured hero, every corporate asset, purge the corruption at its source. That's hundreds of soups, thousands if you count international. It's genocide. Chen's voice dropped to whisper. Sim, is that what you're suggesting? I'm considering whether this realm would be better without its false heroes. Scorpion studied the facility layouts. In the Netherrealm, corruption is burned away. Perhaps your realm requires same purification. The security guards finally bolted, priorities shifting from restraining the Spectre to warning executives that their dimensional asset was planning mass murder. A-Train hesitated, torn between fight-or-flight responses while Compound V sang through his veins. You're insane, A-Train said. You'll never survive. Homelander alone would. Homelander bleeds. Scorpion's smile behind the mask promised ultra-violence. I have proven this, and if he bleeds, he can die. As can all who took power they did not earn. Chen watched her career end in real time, in years of education and research evaporating because she'd chosen honesty over corporate loyalty. But looking at those files, documentation of babies injected, test subjects disposed of, soups created and controlled for profit. Something in her decided Scorpion's brutal honesty was preferable to Vaught's sanitized evil. If you're really considering this, she said quietly, the boys would help. They've been fighting Vought for years. They have resources, intelligence, and they'd absolutely support burning down Compound 5 production. I do not need help, Scorpion said. Maybe not, but you need allies. Because Vought won't let you walk out of here with this information, and Homelander won't tolerate threats to the system that made him God. Chen met his eyes. The scientist who tells you the truth dies first, usually. So if I'm going down anyway, might as well make it count. There's a USB drive in my desk, everything I know about Compound V. Take it. Do whatever your warrior's code demands. Scorpion retrieved the drive, hellfire flickering across its surface without damaging the data. You risk much for stranger from another realm. I risk much because 17 people died in Newark, and Vought's response was to worry about stock prices. Chen's laugh held broken edges. Maybe you are insane. Maybe this is suicide. But at least it's honest suicide, not slow death by corporate complicity. The alarms finally wailed. Security locked down. The response 3 minutes too slow. A train vanished in blur of super speed, likely heading to warn Homelander. And Scorpion stood in the lab with classified intel about destroying the superhero industry's foundation, his decision crystallizing in hellfire. Your realm is diseased, he said, built on Nazi science, corporate greed, and manufactured power. It requires purification. Probably, Chen agreed. Question is, do you burn it down or do you help rebuild something better from the ashes? Scorpion teleported, taking the USB drive and Chen's question with him into Vought Tower's depths. Behind him, security teams would find the scientist who'd committed career suicide by telling the truth, and the alarms would scream about loose demon ninja with information that could destroy empires. Welcome to Vought International, where learning the truth was the first step toward becoming its enemy. Homelander watched security footage of Scorpion's escape through the facility's ventilation system, teleporting between cameras, hellfire scorching structural supports, leaving trail of unconscious guards who'd been smart enough not to engage directly. The Spectre moved like smoke through Vought Tower's guts, heading down instead of out, seeking something deeper than freedom. He has Chen's files, Ashley reported, voice climbing toward Hysteria's comfortable octaves. Everything about Compound V production, facility locations, chemical formulas, test subject documentation, distribution networks. If that information goes public, it won't. Homelander's tone carried calm that terrified her more than rage. Because he's not going public, he's going underground, to the people who've been trying to destroy us for years. Madeline stood by the windows, tablet displaying stock prices that hadn't yet reflected the security breach. Markets always lagged reality by crucial minutes, enough time to liquidate positions or double down, depending on how this resolved. The boys made contact 3 days ago, she said. We knew they would. Butcher can't resist recruiting anyone who hates us. The question is whether Scorpion accepted alliance or just information. Does it matter? Homelander gestured at the footage showing another guard down, another security door melted by hellfire. He's actively destroying our property with classified intel. That's enemy action, regardless of formal alliance. It matters because our response determines public perception. Madeline's corporate calculation never slept. Enemy combatant. We deploy lethal force and spin it as defending against hostile entity. Potential ally gone rogue. We use minimum necessary restraint and frame it as mental breakdown from dimensional displacement. I vote lethal force, Homelander said. You vote for lethal force when the vending machine doesn't dispense your favorite protein shake. Ashley pulled up additional screens. But she's right. Public saw him at the press conference. Mysterious but cooperative. We kill him now. There'll be questions, investigations, possibly congressional hearings about Vaught's treatment of dimensional refugees. Homelander's laser vision flickered. Brief cerulean warning. So we let him escape. Let him join the boys and use our own intel against us. We let him think he's escaping, Madeline corrected. Then we deploy the 7 to contain him. Public sees us responsibly managing dangerous situation. Media frames it as rescue operation, not hunt. And we maintain narrative control while eliminating threat. Eliminating? Ashley's hope was pathetic in its desperation. So we are killing him? If necessary. Preferably, we recapture and apply more robust containment measures. But if he proves too dangerous, Madeline made the calculation visible on her face. Asset value versus liability cost. Then yes, Homelander neutralizes the threat, and we spin it as tragic outcome of unstable dimensional energies. Homelander smiled. Finally, permission to do what he'd wanted since the Spectre made him bleed. I'll need backup. He's more capable than anticipated. The Deep is useless, Madeline assessed clinically. But Queen Maeve, Black Noir, Oz, and Stormfront are available. A-Train's cardiac issues make him liability in extended combat. That gives you 4 of the 7 against 1 target. Stormfront's Nazi science history might be problematic given Chen's revelations, Ashley noted. Stormfront's public backstory is social media influencer who earned powers through personal empowerment. Madeline's ability to rewrite history while maintaining straight face bordered on supernatural. Her actual history is need to know, and right now, nobody needs to know. The facility rumbled. Distant explosion from sub-level 3. Security feeds showed smoke, structural damage, and Scorpion's continued descent toward Vaught's deepest secrets. Whatever he sought, he was getting closer. He's heading for the storage facility, Ashley realized. The Compound V reserves. Oh God, was he's going to destroy the stockpile. Then we intercept before he reaches it. Homelander moved toward the window, cape settling with unconscious theatrical flair. Maeve, Noir, Stormfront, have them meet me at sub-level 5. We box him in, cut off escape routes. End this. Non-lethal if possible, Madeline emphasized. Dead is manageable, but traumatized dimensional refugee attacking in confusion is better PR than corpse. I'll try to remember that while he's setting me on fire. Homelander launched through the window, glass shattering outward, flight trajectory calculating intercept point. Behind him, executives scrambled to coordinate response while stock algorithms detected something wrong in Vought Tower's heart. The sub-level 5 existed in that liminal space between corporate facility and something darker. Walls transitioning from polished steel to raw concrete, lighting shifting from calculated ambiance to industrial functionality. This was where Vought stored things that shouldn't exist according to public narrative. Failed test subjects, experimental weapons, and enough compound vifiri to create 1,000 superhumans or kill 10,000 civilians depending on application. Scorpion stood before the vault door, studying security mechanisms with Warrior's assessment, biometric scanners, retinal identification, pressure sensors, designed to stop soups trying to steal V for personal use or black market profit. Not designed to stop hellfire that burned beyond mere temperature, that consumed based on hatred rather than physics. The door began melting. That's far enough. Homelander descended through the stairwell, cape billowing despite still air, flanked by 3 figures who radiated different brands of dangerous. Queen Maeve, cynical warrior in Wonder Woman costume. Black Noir, silent assassin in tactical black. Stormfront, lightning-wielding Nazi in modern influencer packaging. You've had your fun, Homelander continued. Security breach, assault on personnel, theft of corporate property. But this? Destroying Compound V reserves? That's an act of war. Your substance is corruption. Scorpion didn't turn from the melting door. Nazi science made corporate product. It should not exist. Nazi science. Stormfront's accent carried old-world edges beneath American polish. Such an ugly way to describe human evolution through biochemical advancement. She stepped forward, some electricity crackling along fingertips. We prefer genetic optimization. You prefer lies that mask evil. Scorpion finally turned, kunai spinning. You are all lies. Powers purchased, heroism manufactured, honor non-existent. This realm would be better if Compound Vi had never existed. Wouldn't we all? Maeve muttered. Maeve, Homelander snapped. What? He's not wrong. V ruined our lives, made us corporate slaves. I'm just saying, say less. Homelander's laser vision flickered. We're here to stop him, not agree with him. 4 against 1, Scorpion assessed. You believe manufactured power provides advantage. Let me educate you about earned strength versus laboratory weakness. He moved. Not teleportation, pure combat speed, kunai taking Stormfront in the shoulder before she could summon lightning. The Nazi Supe screamed, Nya electricity discharging wild as supernatural barbs found nerves. Black Noir blurred into motion, knives singing, each strike precise enough to kill normal opponents. They passed through hellfire, metal superheating, handles turning molten. Noir dropped the weapons, advanced with enhanced strength, fists hammering combinations that would crater concrete. Scorpion parried, redirected, used Noir's momentum against him. This wasn't super strength versus super strength. This was centuries of martial discipline against Compound V user who'd taken combat training, but never lived it. Every block found pressure points. Every strike targeted vulnerabilities that biological enhancement couldn't eliminate. Maeve hit like freight train, super strength driven by years of frustration and alcohol-soaked rage. Her fist should have pulverized Skull, but instead, Scorpion teleported behind her, hellfire-wreathed palm strikes sending her into the concrete wall hard enough to crack reinforcement. You fight like children, Scorpion said. Power without discipline, strength without technique. This is what happens when warriors are manufactured instead of forged. Homelander's laser vision carved through space where the Spectre had stood, melting steel supports. Keep him talking, I'll line up the shot. But Scorpion understood tactical coordination, had fought in enough outnumbered battles to recognize pattern developing. Stormfront recovering, building charge. Noir circling for backstab opportunity. Maeve shaking off the impact, preparing next assault. Homelander calculating kill shot. He chose violence. Hellfire erupted an explosion that turned sub-level 5 into inferno. And not aimed, omnidirectional, sulfurous flames that cared nothing for friendly fire or structural integrity. The Supus scattered, Compound V biology protecting them from burns that would kill civilians, but not from heat that fundamentally rejected material reality. Through flames, Scorpion's kunai flew. 3 targets, 3 perfect shots. Stormfront took barbs through her thigh, lightning discharge faltering. Noir caught spear in shoulder joint, armor pierced. Maeve blocked hers with forearm, superhuman durability finally useful. Get over here! He pulled all 3 simultaneously, impossible feat of strength, chains yanking enhanced biology across burning space. They converged on his position like puppets, and Scorpion met them with combination attack that would have made Elder Gods pause. Palm strikes, elbow combinations, knee drives, and each blow carrying Hellfire's enhancement, each impact finding weaknesses in Compound 5 physiology. They crashed into each other in tangle of cape, armor, and German cursing. Stormfront's lightning discharge caught Noir, whose invulnerability didn't extend to electricity. Maeve's super strength swing hit Stormfront accidentally, sending the Nazi into wall. Idiots! Homelander's shout carried genuine rage. You're fighting each other! He's better than us, Maeve gasped, climbing to feet. Actually trained. We're just strong. Then be stronger. Homelander descended like vengeful deity, both fists crashing into concrete where Scorpion had stood picoseconds before. The floor cratered. Dust filled air. And somewhere in chaos, the vault door's final locks gave way. Scorpion teleported inside. The storage facility stretched warehouse scale. A rows of refrigerated units containing enough Compound V to fuel Vaught's empire for years. Blue vials gleaming under industrial lighting, each one representing power, profit, and human experimentation condensed into injectable form. No. Homelander's voice carried desperation. You destroy this, you cripple us. Set back superhero development by decades. Condemn millions who could be saved by enhanced individuals. You'll save millions from corruption you call heroism. Scorpion's hellfire began spreading, supernatural flames ignoring fire suppression systems. This is not power, This is disease, and I am the cure. Homelander charged. No finesse, no tactics, pure rage-driven flight, laser vision blazing. Scorpion met him mid-air with impossible maneuver, kunai taking the hero through the same shoulder as before. The barbs sank deep, finding scar tissue from their previous encounter. You made me bleed twice. Homelander's hands closed around Scorpion's throat, super strength crushing windpipe that didn't need air. Nobody makes me bleed twice, because nobody was warrior enough to try. Scorpion's hellfire engulfed them both, flames finding openings in Homelander's psychology. You are child playing God. I am God-killer forged in death. Learn difference. They crashed through refrigeration units, blue vials shattering, Compound V mixing with hellfire in chemical reaction that made the air scream. Explosions rippled outward. V was stable under normal conditions, but supernatural flame was decidedly abnormal. The facility began collapsing. Everyone out! Maeve grabbed Stormfront, hauling the Nazi toward exits. The whole level's going. Black Noir was already moving, and tactical retreat overriding mission parameters. But Homelander held position, hands around Scorpion's throat, laser vision burning into undead flesh that kept healing, kept fighting. I don't lose. Each word punctuated with violence. I'm Homelander. I'm perfect. I'm manufactured. Scorpion's palm strike drove sternum fragments toward spine, super durability finally cracking under hellfire-enhanced technique. Product, slave. The Compound V reserves exploded properly now, chain reaction turning Vaught's pharmaceutical empire into expanding fireball. The blast wave hit both combatants, separating them through thermal expansion rather than strength. Scorpion teleported clear. Homelander caught the full force, invulnerability protecting him from death, but not from being thrown through 3 walls into stairwell beyond. Your Scorpion stood in burning warehouse, watching decades of Compound V production convert to ash and toxic smoke. Around him, the facility's structural supports groaned under damage. Above, alarms screamed about containment failure and toxic exposure. The USB drive in his pocket held the information. The destroyed stockpile sent the message, and somewhere in Manhattan's darkness, the boys were monitoring Vought frequencies, planning next moves. But Homelander wasn't done. Through smoke and flame, Scorpion heard him coming, not flying, but walking, each step carrying promise of continued violence. Burned, bleeding, possibly concussed, but still moving. This isn't over. Homelander's voice echoed through destruction. I'll hunt you forever, every day, every hour. You'll never escape. Never be safe. The ceiling collapsed, the tons of concrete and steel coming down. Scorpion teleported clear, emerging into sub-level 4 as the entire storage facility caved in. He didn't know if Homelander survived the collapse, didn't particularly care. The mission was complete. Vaught's Compound V reserves destroyed, their corporate evil exposed, and their greatest hero proven mortal. The warrior from Netherrealm walked through Vought Tower's dying heart, hellfire lighting his path, while above, executives scrambled to contain catastrophe that would reshape the superhero industry. The hunt was far from over, but the first battle? That belonged to Scorpion. The boys' safe house occupied a condemned building in Queens, grimy, rat-infested, and invisible to Vaught's surveillance precisely because it looked like every other condemned building in the borough. Scorpion emerged through the window without using the door, hellfire scorched and carrying tactical data that could end corporate empires. Butcher looked up from cleaning his shotgun, expression cycling through surprise, satisfaction, then calculating assessment. Well, fuck me sideways. You actually did it. Did what? Huey asked from his computer station, multiple screens showing news feeds of Vought Tower evacuations and emergency services converging on the facility. Started a war. MM lowered his weapon. Had tracked Scorpion's approach but recognized non-hostile intent. Every news channel's covering the explosion. Was Vought spinning it as industrial accident, but social media's got footage of Homelander being pulled from rubble. They can't contain this. Frenchie whistled, examining his explosive materials with new appreciation. Mon ami, you destroyed Compound V reserves? The whole storage facility? Everything. Scorpion dropped Chen's USB drive on their makeshift table. And I brought proof of their Nazi origins, chemical formulas, test subject documentation, facility locations, corporate cover-ups. Everything you need to expose them. The boys stared at the drive like it was holy relic and nuclear weapon combined. Butcher reached for it slowly, almost reverently. You beautiful, demonic bastard. He plugged it into Huey's laptop. This is everything we've been fighting for. Years of work, hundreds of deaths, and you just waltz in and hand us their entire empire on a flash drive. I do not waltz, I fight. Scorpion settled into defensive position, never fully relaxing. And I do not gift you anything. I give you weapon. What you do with it determines whether you're warriors or terrorists. We're both, said honestly. Depends on the day. The files began populating across screens. Decades of Compound V research, test subject logs with redacted names, facility blueprints, financial records connecting Vought to political corruption. Each document another nail in the corporate coffin. Frederick Vought, Nazi scientist, Huey read aloud. Jesus Christ, it's all here. The German experiments, the baby injections, the cover-ups when test subjects died. This is genocide dressed as heroism. This is Tuesday for Vought, Butcher corrected. But now we have proof. Real, documented, impossible to spin proof. His smile could have cut glass. They're going to burn. Homelander, Scorpion asked. Survived the collapse. Critical condition, but healing. Pulled up security camera footage showing the hero being extracted from rubble, cape shredded, suit burned, but moving. He'll recover. Compound V biology doesn't quit easy, but you wounded him. Actually wounded him. That's going to have psychological consequences. Good. He should fear genuine warriors instead of manufactured celebrities. Kimiko emerged from the back room, silent as smoke, studying Scorpion with those expressive eyes that spoke volumes without words. She signed something, quick, precise movements. She says you're different from other soupirs, Frenchie translated. That you kill with purpose, not pleasure. And that you understand what it means to be weapon against your will. Scorpion met her gaze. Two manufactured killers recognizing kinship across dimensional boundaries. I chose my path. Vengeance is warrior's right. But you... He gestured at the scars, the trauma written in her posture. They made you weapon without consent. That is different evil. She signed again, longer this time. She says we're all weapons here, Frenchie continued. The question is who we aim ourselves at. Vought. Butcher's declaration carried finality. We aim at Vought, and we pull the fucking trigger. This intel gives us everything we need. Congressional contacts, journalist allies, whistleblowers who've been too scared to come forward. We release this right, time it perfectly, and we can actually destroy them. Or make them martyrs, cautioned. Release too much too fast. Public gets overwhelmed. Vought spins it as conspiracy theory. We need surgical precision, not carpet bombing. I vote carpet bombing, Butcher said. You always vote carpet bombing. Scorpion watched them plan, recognizing command structure that functioned despite internal disagreements. Not warriors in traditional sense, no clan loyalty, no formal hierarchy, but soldiers nonetheless. Damaged ones, possibly insane ones, but genuine in their hatred of manufactured heroism. What about you? Huey asked, looking up from the files. You started this. You're part of this now. Vaught's going to hunt you forever. Homelander especially. You made him bleed twice. He'll never forgive that. I do not seek forgiveness. I seek return to Netherrealm. Scorpion pulled out Chen's dimensional research notes, secondary data she'd included with Compound V files. But your scientist said portal recreation becomes harder as my energy signature degrades. I may be trapped here regardless. Then trap yourself somewhere useful, Butcher suggested. Stay with us. Help burn down the Empire. Once Vaught's ashes, we'll have access to their labs, their scientists, their equipment. Better chance of sending you home if we control the dimensional research instead of letting corporate cunts dictate timeline. You want me as weapon against them. I want you as ally against them. There's difference. Butcher's honesty was refreshing. Yeah, you're powerful. Yeah, you terrify Homelander, which is frankly hilarious. But more than that, you've got code, principles. You won't kill civilians for convenience or rape women because you're bored. You're better than every soupy I've ever met, and you're literally from hell. Says something about this world, Scorpion agreed. Says this world needs burning down and building better. Crossed arms, but that requires long game, strategic thinking, not just lighting fires and hoping. I'm warrior, not strategist. Then let us be strategists. You be the fire. Butcher extended hand. Not corporate contract, not manipulation, just offer between damaged people fighting impossible war. The boys plus one demon ninja. What do you say? Scorpion considered. The Shirai Ryu had taught him that vengeance required patience, that justice demanded sacrifice, that sometimes warriors must choose battles carefully instead of fighting everything simultaneously. As he destroyed Vaught's Compound 5 reserves, wounded their greatest hero, exposed their Nazi origins, but the Empire remained. The manufactured heroes continued. The corporate evil persisted. One battle won didn't equal war finished. I will not join permanently, Scorpion said finally, but I will ally temporarily. Until Vought burns or Portal Home opens, whichever comes first. Fair enough. Butcher shook the offered hand, noting hellfire flickered across both their grips without burning. Welcome to the boys. We're all going to die horribly, but at least we'll take those corporate cunts with us. Huey began compiling the most damaging files. Evidence packages for journalists, congressional contacts, whistleblowers. Coordinated safe houses and escape routes for when Vaught's retaliation came. And Frenchie prepared explosives for future operations. Kimiko cleaned weapons with meditative focus, and Scorpion stood among them, warrior from Netherrealm who'd sought return home but found instead a different war. Not personal vengeance against Sub-Zero, not tournament combat against Elder Gods, but systematic fight against corporate evil that manufactured heroes and called it progress. Outside, Manhattan consumed news of Vought Tower explosion. Stock prices fluctuated. Media personalities debated causes. And in hospital beds surrounded by technology worth millions, Homelander watched footage of Scorpion's escape, planning revenge with narcissistic fury of damaged child god who'd been embarrassed twice. The war was far from over. Vought had resources, political connections, public support built on decades of manufactured heroism. The Seven would hunt, lawyers would attack, and Homelander would come again, relentless as cancer. But the boys had Compound 5 files. They had Dimensional Warrior who couldn't be killed because he'd already died. They had motivation, rage, and willingness to cross lines that separated heroes from terrorists. One question, Huey said as they finalized plans. If we actually succeed, if we burn down Vought, expose Compound Vi, maybe even kill Homelander, what happens to all the soups? The manufactured heroes? Do we just eliminate them all? Silence settled heavy. The question nobody wanted to answer because the answer defined whether they were freedom fighters or genocidal maniacs. We eliminate the ones who deserve it, said carefully. The rapists, the murderers, the ones who've used power for evil. The rest, he shrugged. Maybe they get chance to be actual people instead of corporate products. Maybe rehabilitation instead of execution, Huey offered hopefully. Maybe, Butcher agreed, though his tone suggested he'd prefer execution. But that's future problem. Present problem is surviving next week when Vought realizes we have their files and sends everything they've got to kill us. Let them come. Scorpion's hellfire burned steady. I have faced realms of demons. Your corporate soups do not frighten me. Yeah, well, they should. Butcher pulled up satellite imagery of Vought facilities worldwide. Because they're going to come at us with everything, legal, illegal, and definitely fatal. This is endgame now. No more shadow war, no more hiding. They know we're existential threat now, and they'll respond accordingly. Good. Scorpion's warrior philosophy was simple. Hidden enemies are dangerous. Visible enemies can be fought. Fucking diabolical, Butcher agreed. All right, people. We've got maybe 48 hours before Vaught's response teams locate this safe house. Huey, encrypt the files and distribute to our journalist contacts. Coordinate evacuation protocols. Frenchie, prep the vehicles. Kimiko, sharpen things. And Scorpion? He met those yellow eyes with something almost like respect. Welcome to the war. Try not to set everything on fire. I make no promises. The safe house descended into controlled chaos. People moving with purpose, preparing for battles ahead. Outside, Queens continued existing in oblivious normalcy, and somewhere in Vaught's executive suite, the Madeline Stillwell was calculating response strategies while stock algorithms detected something fundamentally wrong with the superhero industry's future. Scorpion had sought return to Netherrealm, had wanted only to continue his sacred vengeance against Sub-Zero and the Lin Kuei. Instead, he had found different hell. Corporate realm where heroes were products, power was purchased, and honor was marketing strategy. But perhaps this realm needed warrior more than Netherrealm did. Perhaps his imprisonment here served larger purpose than personal vendetta. Perhaps purging corporate corruption was combat worth fighting. Or perhaps he'd just found new enemies to burn while waiting for Portal home. Either way, the war had begun. Vought International versus the boys plus one demon ninja. Corporate empire versus damaged warriors. The manufactured heroism versus genuine, brutal honesty. The outcome remained uncertain. The casualties would be catastrophic, and the realm itself might burn before resolution came. But for the first time since arriving in this twisted dimension, Scorpion felt something almost like purpose. Not vengeance, not yet, but justice. The kind that came through hellfire and combat. The kind that didn't compromise or negotiate. The kind that either purged corruption completely or died trying. Outside, sirens wailed. News helicopters circled Vought Tower, and in hospital bed that cost more than most people's houses, Homelander whispered promises of revenge that would make demons weep. The game was on. The pieces were moving, and somewhere between corporate boardrooms and grimy safe houses, the future of this realm's heroes would be decided through violence, exposure, and fire that burned beyond mere temperature. Welcome to the boys, where even warriors from hell found purpose in fighting manufactured gods. The hunt continued. The war escalated, and Scorpion's legend in this realm had only just begun. Scorpion had arrived in Vaught's realm seeking nothing but return to the Netherrealm and his eternal hunt. Instead, he'd found a different kind of hell, one where heroes were manufactured through Nazi science. Power was commodity rather than earned strength, and corporate evil masqueraded as justice. The warrior from combat tournaments had become unlikely ally to the boys, his hellfire and honor code now aimed at dismantling the very industry that had tried to contain him. to the destruction of Vaught's Compound 5 reserves sent shockwaves through the superhero industry that no amount of PR spin could fully contain. Stock prices fluctuated wildly. Congressional hearings were demanded, and most importantly, the invincible Homelander had been proven mortal, twice wounded by a warrior who understood that true power came from discipline and sacrifice, not injectable serum. But the war was far from over. Vought still commanded vast resources, political connections, and dozens of enhanced individuals loyal to corporate paycheck. Homelander's narcissistic rage would drive him to obsessive pursuit of the specter who'd shattered his god complex. And the files Scorpion had delivered to the boys, while damaging, required strategic deployment to avoid being dismissed as conspiracy theory. Scorpion found himself in peculiar position, trapped in dimension not his own, allied with terrorists fighting manufactured heroes, his honor code tested by realm where traditional morality had been corporatized beyond recognition. The portal home remained theoretical, dependent on research that might take years, research now complicated by his destruction of the very facilities that could help him. Yet perhaps this imprisonment served purpose greater than personal vengeance. The Netherrealm would continue its eternal conflicts whether he was there or not. But this realm, this corporate hellscape of purchased power and manufactured heroism, desperately needed warrior willing to purge corruption through fire and combat. The Shirai Ryu had taught him that vengeance required patience, that justice demanded sacrifice, and that sometimes the greatest battles were fought not for personal glory, but for principle itself. As dawn broke over Queens, Scorpion meditated in the safe house while the boys planned their next operation. Around him, damaged warriors prepared for war against Empire that had proven its willingness to murder, cover up, and manipulate reality itself. Somewhere across the city, Homelander lay in hospital bed, healing and plotting revenge with psychotic determination. The files would be released strategically. Operations would continue. Blood would be spilled, likely oceans of it. And the question of whether manufactured heroes could be redeemed or must be eliminated entirely remained unanswered, waiting for resolution through violence and fire. Hanzo Hasashi had died centuries ago, or resurrected as Scorpion for vengeance against those who'd murdered his family. Now, in realm not his own, he'd found new purpose, not replacement for Sacred Hunt, but addition to it. The Netherrealm's vengeance could wait. This realm's purification could not. Welcome to the boys, where even warriors from hell became freedom fighters, where corporate evil met hellfire's judgment, where the question wasn't whether heroes were manufactured, but whether they could be destroyed. The combat had only begun. The stakes were measured in civilizations, not tournaments, and Scorpion's legend in this twisted realm would be written in ash, blood, and the screams of those who'd mistaken purchased power for genuine strength. Vought International had created heroes through injection and marketing. The boys fought them with rage and determination. But Scorpion brought something neither side possessed: warrior's code that transcended realms, honor that couldn't be bought, and hellfire that burned corruption regardless of corporate PR. The game continued. The hunt escalated. And somewhere between boardrooms and battlefields, the soul of this realm's heroism would be tested by fire that came from beyond death itself. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.